Tobias Whelan. I'm from Gaithersburg, Maryland, and this is...
All right, so I'm Miles Longstreth. I'm from outside of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and this is our mock Austria 11,000 BC.
So we had the idea. I'm not really sure what sparked it last year, but about BrickFair 2017, we were thinking something historical but more original, something farther back than most people have gone. So we went with a prehistoric idea. And we were digging through parts, and I found some pieces that I thought would look great on the Mammoth. So I actually made the Mammoth about a year ago, and the rest of the collab was kind of planned out over the months, and we've got to where we are now we kind of hustled in the last 2 weeks, and then at my house on Tuesday night, and then at the con center for 3 days, and here we are. Yeah.
All right, yeah. So it was cool collaborating, and matching our different styles and making them come together in the end, and I think we did a pretty good job. But we did hustle over the last 2 weeks, a lot. A week ago, those back 3 plates didn't exist, and just a few days ago, that plate didn't exist. But it was cool to finally see it together at the end now.
Most definitely. The thing was, when we showed up, there's a lot of gaps because his plates are a little weak in most points. So they look great on the top, but as soon as you lift them up, there's no support. So a lot of the issue was trying to push in the rocks to hold it up, or fill in a gap, or find somewhere where it's sturdy enough to hold on a rock formation or a net formation or anything like that. And I think it came out pretty well. We the waterfall we'd had in the works because there was some concept art from the game Far Cry Primal that had a waterfall, and I think Miles absolutely killed it on this one. That was pretty last minute as well. That was within the last month, and it was pretty rushed, but we also we had 2 other collaborators, or 3 other, that one was going to do wildlife, but most of them had their own personal projects going on, so they ended up just doing those. And I think as a 2-man project, it worked out pretty well. I think it's a good size.
It really did. You can't even tell it was 2 different people that worked on it because it just melds together so perfectly. And I love what you guys did here. It's really like a master class in landscaping. When you look at this build, when you first approach, you've got kind of the lower section here, and then the eye just kind of wanders up to the taller parts of the build, the waterfall and everything, up to that kind of grove of trees in the back right. And it's just beautiful to look at everything you guys were able to include in here. So this is really amazing. So then I know you mentioned a few different details. You want to take us through some of the other scenes and kind of minifigs you've included in the build?
All right. Well, first of all, thank you. And second of all, the deer design, which isn't ours, but we found it a while back on Flickr. We made 4 of those, and they were pretty pricey because of those paddles on their legs. We want to have a few of them, eating and grazing, and then we want to have a few of them getting hunted. And we also have, and a lot of this is just looking for food or looking for something for their camp. So they're a hunter-gatherer society, so we have them gathering plants. We have 2 guys hunting the mammoth, 1 guy hunting a deer, and up top we have some kind of shrine, almost Stonehenge-like, with an offering pot. We got the town down here with the Jabba's sail barge and some Angry Birds cloth to do a kind of a tanned hide look, little burned out campfire. Anything else?
Yeah, we really wanted to focus on the wildlife aspect of it because it was a hunter-gatherer society. And then so brick build animals, a lot of, and flowing that with the figures because it wasn't super based on the figures we tried to do. And then looking at a few details. So right here, there's a cave painting down under there, just with some stalagmites and stuff in there, just trying to add a nice little detail in there. And then so on the other side at the water under there, there's a little look underwater there in the shore, as well as just some more landscape and scenery. We really wanted to focus, like you talked about, having the elevation of starting really low and ending pretty high, as many landscapes do in the world, and especially in Central Europe, where we're trying to encompass. Yep. So those are a couple of the few details we tried to put in there.
And what you said earlier about how you said it melds together really well. We were actually thinking about this. We until the last few weeks weren't planning on. When he came over to my house and we kind of knocked it out the last night before BrickFair, we were really excited to see how it would come together, and we're going to try to add our own touches on each plate so it was equal and spread throughout, especially with the flowers. We got a little patch up there. We have a patch down here, but it's separated between the 2, so there's not too much visual clash in between the 2.
And talk about kind of how you achieved that difference in elevation there, and what are some of the struggles of starting, just 1 or 2 bricks high down here and then getting much higher in the other portion of the build. How does that work?
Well, this section down here was actually, I think I put it together maybe January, and that was just an experiment. It wasn't actually supposed to be part of the build, but I just wanted to get an idea of how I was going to pull off some of the terrain, some of the color interactions. And when Miles started working on it, he's like, we got to have the hill and the waterfall. So he snaps me a picture, and the lowest his build ever goes is like 8 blocks high. And I'm like, oh, that's going to be a mission. So this hill is pretty steep. It gets a little bit more rounded out, but here I had to at least hit the minimum 8 brick height, and then we moved on up. And he sent me a picture, and I sat down and I had a piece of paper, and I drew pretty much stepped and how long each plate was going to be so they match up along the ridge and everything. And yeah, there's a lot of filler brick in it. It's pretty dense on the front plates. Yep.
Yeah. Well, it's an excellent build, guys. I think it came together very nicely. So when you transport this and kind of bring it around to a show, what's that like? Does it move around kind of easily?
Well, this is the last day it's going to be on this earth, if I'm being honest. It was a mission to move. He pulled it out the back of his hatchback, and it was just, there was most of the plates stayed intact, but a lot of the minor details were all knocked around, like the rocks and such. And this was pretty dense. It traveled pretty well. All the foliage was gone by the time I took it out of the trunk, but I think it does travel pretty well for its size.
And just in terms of like transporting, so like these sections down here, they stay together, and then the 3 in the back, they all come apart into thirds. So those are easier to transport than the big piece, but it's also like a much more dense piece, so it is easier to carry like as one piece, those 3 across. But like Toby said, unfortunately, we're laying it down to rest today and taking it apart, but it was cool having it together for a little while there.
I think I might take that little bottom plate down there, but that's about it, because mine's separated with Technic pins, but that's about it. Everything else is probably going to go. Yeah. As much as it pains me.
Well, I'm glad you were able to bring it out to BrickFair. It's really fantastic, and thanks so much for chatting with me, you guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Thanks a lot, guys.